Hello, my lovelies. My name is Kristen, and I am finally here to bring you a video that has been a long time in the making. I have spent many years gathering information and collecting experiences so that I could get a collected amount of resources available to support all of my Starseed parents and to give everyone out there an understanding of really what that means and what it entails. More than anything, I'm here to talk about raising Starseed children and supporting a couple different demographics, okay? I'm going to introduce and define the term, and I'm also here to try and aim at a demographic that knows what a Starseed is, or understands what energy beings are, and is looking for support on behaviors that can come about and just different things. I'm also here to reach a demographic that does not understand or know about the term Starseed. More or less, they're probably more familiar with more societal terms: autism, ADHD, sensory processing disorder, learning disabilities, things like that, okay? I am here to bring support and understanding that I think has been long overdue. I've seen a lot of people out there and light workers spreading the news and the information as best that they can, and it is now time that I do the same. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a metaphysical healer and a psychic guide, and I will explain that a little bit more further. But my main mission is to help support Starseeds, their families, and just help gather information and an understanding of what that is. So, first of all, I want to differentiate Starseed beings, okay? And before I get too far into this, I'm not a machine, guys. I'm only human, so I do have a lot of notes, so I'm not always going to be looking straight at the camera, so just understand that. But I want to get all of my information very factual, and I want to get it to you straight, okay? The whole point of this is to differentiate the societal terms to Starseed beings and what the combination there, what the similarities are, okay? And help parents identify whether or not their child fits this demographic and begin a healing journey, because I feel like a lot of parents right now are not feeling supported. They're not empowered by society in the way that they understand the clinical views of certain symptoms or disabilities, if you will. Okay, and I am here to help empower parents and families to provide support and empathy and a loving guidance that is empowering for them, okay, and is also empowering for children, okay? This is a support system that I only wish I could have had for my own Starseeds, okay, when they were young. That was a very tough situation. I did not understand a lot of what I was dealing with, and it took a lot of my own self data tracking and really researching a lot of things that were scattered at the time. My oldest are 15. I have twin boys that are 15. And there wasn't a lot to talk about back then. It was starting to come around, but it was certainly not a comfortable topic to discuss in normal society. Okay, so more than anything, guys, again, I am so excited to finally be making this video series, and it's the beginning of my mission. It's taking it to the next level, supporting your journey, and as a parent of a Starseed, it is tough. It is not easy, and it's also not easy when you can't talk about it with other people, especially the people closest to you sometimes, okay? This is the initial set of informational videos for what Starseeds are, and it's an awakening series, a Starseed awakening series, okay? The first 4 videos are going to expand on some very important topics, okay? They're going to include defining, understanding, and determining what a Starseed is and how society terms and views Starseeds. The second will cover the characteristics most commonly found in Starseed children and establish if you are raising a Starseed child, and that will include an assessment, okay? The third will go over explanations of what Starseed awakening and activation is. And then the final video will be an introduction of the Tough Love versus Soul Needs series. And once we reach the Tough Love versus Soul Needs, a new series of rolling videos will begin, and that will cover a plethora of experiences that you may face with positive and practical parenting information, as well as techniques that can just help you, guide you and your child in the best way possible, in the most beneficial way possible. We will review areas from common behaviors, building intuition, identifying abilities and needs while primarily addressing why a behavior is happening and what the situation is. It could not always a behavior, it can just be a situation, a characteristic that you're dealing with, why it's there, how to handle it in the most loving and positive way that brings you control and ease and brings your child the most growth and empowering guidance and soul growth. Okay, that's really where we're going. We want them to have soul growth in everything we're doing. And that's difficult when we don't know what to do. So that's what we're going to talk about. So the purpose of this particular series is to evaluate if your child is a starseed, right, and what you can do about it. The first video here will cover what a starseed is, why they're here, how many are on Earth, and what types of starseeds there are, okay? And then we will discuss the labels that are commonly used, misdiagnosed disorders, and common delays that are found, okay? So, to tell you a little bit about myself, I have a few traditional and a few non-traditional titles. My traditional titles are behavior therapist, English teacher, I'm a business owner of many different kinds, and an accountant, office manager, stuff like that. I have experience in many industries, including construction, real estate, education. The list kind of goes on there. I do have degrees in psychology and experience in psychology, spiritualist psychology, child psychology, addictions, marriage and family counseling, sociology, and behavior therapy. Now, my non-traditional titles and my favorite ones are metaphysical healer. I'm a Reiki master, a massage therapist, an intuitive psychic guide, a starseed guide, a light worker, an empath, an indigo, and a clairvoyant. So I like to incorporate all of those things from the more professional business, more traditional end, and combine that with my non-traditional side so that we can somehow bring a balance. I think we've really seen a large epidemic in bullying lately in our world. My kiddos have been definitely on the end of that, on the bullying end of that, and unfortunately, they take all that in and they internalize it, and in the end it's debilitating abilities and sensories and their own quality of life. And what we're facing here is you have this professional, I don't want to use that because there can be professionalism on both ends. You have this corporate America side, okay, parent type that has a very stern understanding and a traditional view on disabilities, on symptoms, on how to deal with that, how to take that to a doctor, how to get those clinical views. However, what's happening is they're facing a problem because they either have the kiddo on the aggressor side who is not connected, and they are trying to just raise a kiddo that they see is strong-willed, and they want to make sure that it stays that way. They also could be dealing with things at home that are really tough, okay? Misunderstandings of between the parents and the child. On the other hand, that same type of corporate America parent can also be dealing with an empathic child, and they have no idea what they're dealing with because they're used to seeing a neurotypical child. He's got, is good in sports and does all these typical things, and you've got a kiddo who is more in the arts and more very sensitive feeling and an energy being, and there is no connection there because there's no understanding of what that is. And then, of course, you have on the other side the little bit more non-traditional end, and they have a more hippie side, if you will, has a different perspective, a little bit more of a natural, holistic view of things. And say one of this type of demographic has an aggressive type child. They have no idea what to do because they are on the non-neurotypical end, okay? They are dealing with more holistic type approaches, and they've got an aggressive kid that's bullying. That can be a tough situation. And on the other hand, they've got the empathic child that they understand it, but they might have behaviors because there's either lack of connection, there's issues in school, there's societal views or societal influences coming in that they're not sure how to deal with that. Okay, so there's a whole lot of folks in this demographic that can be covered, and how I can help support all of you in understanding what you're dealing with and why this is happening. Okay, this is 15 years of research and personal experience that I'm sharing with you. This is not just, I'm just somebody who doesn't have kiddos and cannot relate on all of these levels. Okay, that's not to say that someone without kids cannot relate, but I truly feel that this is about taking my personal experiences as a parent and my educational background as well as my holistic approaches and giving you a very well-rounded approach to those who resonate to me. Okay, so before we get started too far, I live in a very, very spiritual place, and I'm going to open the blinds for just a second here so that you can take a look at it. I have embarked on this mission here, this knowledge-seeking mission, okay, from all of the different spiritual monasteries. I live in the middle of nowhere in a very, very spiritual place, and I came here to absorb energy, to learn how to use this energy and provide it in different ways. I also provide guidance counseling and other kinds of healing. So I use all of this in my healings. I've combined the most current and holistic facts and interpretations that are available, and I'm trying to seek and reach all demographics that I possibly can with this information so that I can apply both aware empaths looking for guidance, and I intend to implement a non-traditional logic and spiritual approach to a very traditional, non-connected, ego-driven and material world, okay? There is no shame behind truth. There's only awareness and growth, okay? And that is my own little quote there. So I know the term starseed is very new and it's hippie, and it's a hippie deemed term, and it can also be a touchy subject, okay? I get that in society and at home, in the work environment, within your culture, it's very new, and it's just now becoming known, but also more discussed in society. It's becoming a little bit more comfortable to be talked about. So first off, please know that I am not here to blame, I'm not here to shame, judge, or preach to anybody. My primary goal is to support you and your loved ones in your mission, and that is it. I am a mother to 4 starseeds. It's been a very interesting and adventurous and enlightening journey thus far. I am just simply here to share the knowledge with you, provide information, understanding, and relate to you on those experiences through the amazing moments I've had and the struggles. This is about building and strengthening connections to your higher self, to your family, to the earth, and to your mission, okay? We can build a network of support and raise vibrations as a united powerhouse, continuing to pave the path for our children. That is our mission together. That's what I'm here to help you do. Okay, so what is a starseed and why are they here? Thank you for bearing with me on that. I wanted to get that information out. It's important you know who I am. All right, so the term starseed in and of itself is a very beautiful term when you really think about it, okay? It basically represents someone who is simply from another star, origin, solar system, planet, okay? And they've been planted here on Earth to help us seed information that we need and ideas and changes and help us collectively grow and bring awareness and positive change to humanity, okay? That's a starseed. Now, there are different types of starseeds, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Now, another definition or another characteristic here that can be for a starseed, it's a soul from another world that incarnates on Earth in order to bring light and knowledge, helping Mother Earth and uplifting people on the planet. So there's another view of what that could be. Another one could be older souls who volunteer for going into other worlds for extended periods of time. Some are many, many lifetimes. To help steer the world in the right direction, okay? They bring light and energy to civilizations, changes that are needed in a dark and struggling time period. Starseeds often have a superior intelligence and a bit more refined sense of things. They tend to be more peace-loving and wish to protect the environment. They can be smarter in terms of looking out for their own well-being when engaged in dangerous behaviors when they're balanced, okay? And we'll talk about that too. Some can be quite emotionally stable, and others that are not in a connected, balanced state can definitely deal with a different type of behavior. Now, some starseeds, depending on where they originate from, and that's a whole different video to talk about as far as origination, but they can be very highly logical, very sensitive, very intellectual, very wise, okay, and most are very much in love with science and space and arts, all of those kinds of things, okay, sensory type driven skills or things that they like to do, okay. Now, others are drawn to more natural healing, holistic type of modalities, and they're really big on chemical free, okay. They live a chemical free life. They seek out healthy alternatives at a very young age, and many are drawn to nature, animals, spirituality, and are very highly intuitive and psychic. Okay, those are a few things that you will see. Now, upon hearing that their soul is a traveling soul, and if they get some type of validation of thoughts that might already be running through their head at a very young age, they can feel like an immediate knowing or a flash that that's true, that they've actually been thinking this way. Oh, let me tell you, actually, I've already been thinking about, maybe I was from another planet or another star. Avatar, Star Trek, a lot of those different movies and series, a lot of starseeds have a very interesting connection to actually feeling like that's a very similar look to a home that they used to have. Okay, a lot of them draw or dream about these different places. They're very, very detailed, very much unexplainable sometimes, undescribable. Okay, there's no other explanation than it came from a different life or a different planet. Okay, mine have given me plenty, and boy, oh boy, it's been interesting to hear their stories. So they get a lot of motivation once somebody validates and acknowledges that they are something different, because they already know they are, and they've told you more than likely, or you've told them more than likely, or someone has let them know that they are a little bit different than the normal folks around them, whatever normal, whatever you want to deem as normal. I have my own opinions about that. So lots of motivation when they get that validation, okay? They might understand why they're here all of a sudden. There's reasons why these wars are happening and why they need to be stopped. They're going to start to develop these higher sensories of their mission, okay? They're going to start activating and waking up. What's truly behind the medical industry? What's the government's intention here? What's this policy about? Why are these systems in place? They want to figure out by drawing substantial information, factual information behind what this is. That's the whole point of them being older souls. They just know that they know. They know when to ask those questions. They might be the kiddo in class that raises the hand and questions every single fact that a teacher puts out, because there's something there to question. And where other children might conform and say, I'm not going to ask that, they might think of it, but this particular child will not let that go. It will stir in their heart until they're able to express, what was that? That did not make sense. A big one for me as an indigo, religion was a really big issue for me. Not that I wanted to fight the grain, but I had so many questions that nobody had answers to, and it was just so frustrating. So I was able to develop a different path of understanding for my children so that they had freedoms with facts to make their own conclusions on what they wanted to believe. I did not want to hinder that in any way, but give them facts. So this knowingness, okay, this is due to a higher link that they retain with their soul and their higher self. It's something that's just already there, okay? Now, how many starseeds are on Earth? Well, from what I have gathered research-wise, there are many millions and millions of starseeds, counting up to about 200 million on Earth, okay? Some who have been here for eons, and others are very familiar with our culture and the way our systems are. And there's also other souls who are new to Earth. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Who are new to Earth, and they're finding their way around right now. Every starseed that comes here has a mission or a goal regarding what they can do to assist the planet, raise vibrations, and help humanity. That's the overall goal, and that's why there are so many here, to help raise those vibrations, to help fix these issues, and to create a more unconditionally loving society, okay? Their vibrations as a whole create that healing. That's why there's so many. So, some types of starseeds and some characteristics, okay? Now, I have kind of a timeline here that I'm going to go off of that just give you kind of an idea. So the very early indigo parents and grandparents, okay, would be my parents and grandparents of my age and my generation, were scouts. And they helped move and pave the way for planetary evolution and planting seeds and ideas for all the later indigos and crystals and all of us to come forward, okay? They just helped start this whole mission. And then we've got the first wave of indigos, which is like 1970-ish, okay? Very much warrior personalities, bold, visionaries. They're system busters, non-conformists, okay? They are kind of the first wave there. And then you've got the second wave, which is like 1980-ish to the late 1990s. And they're sensitive, very intuitive, very creative, independent. They like new ways, okay? They are trailblazers for the new era. And these late indigos, they came to Earth literally to help save the world, okay? And they're here like earthly angels to usher the dark ages out of greed and to help all of those negative energies and replace them with positivity and love and let go of the competition, the corruption, the ego, okay? We're here to heal the ego. And we have an unusual ability to sense the dishonesty, like human lie detectors, okay? I know a lot of you have heard that or seen that. And it's a gift because it helps us to stop the systems that are not serving the greater good of humanity. It helps the new energy of integrity, cooperation, manifestation. We are all witnessing the millennials who are, some of them are early crystals, and we are reshaping corporate America. We are forcing out what is no longer good and questioning the established morals and structures and all of the dynamics and the foundations that are built upon false beliefs and false systems, false truths, okay? Very, very driven on the ideals of success, and we see what will happen in the future if we don't act now. So one of the primary features that distinguish the indigo child or children is exactly that. We have established a seed of an issue with pollution, with hunger around the world, with corruption in governments. And we have established an understanding so that we can fuel the next generations with knowledge so that they can then fulfill their mission, okay? Some of us have an issue with authority. Just saying. But we do need indigos to speak up. A lot of indigos who are not connected and have had issues with not being able to ground themselves into that mission have seen the way of addiction and have seen the way of issues as far as with the law, and have had a lot of issues with the law. And we really need to help support all of these different generations, because these are leaders. These folks who fell to addiction or to being in trouble with the law, they needed support in a way that they did not have. They needed to be connected in a way that they just didn't understand. And they are part of our leaderships. They just, unfortunately, were not raised in a proper upbringing. So right now, it's about gathering our support systems and our resources and preparing for a vital, important new generation to come in and help heal the earth on an entirely different level, okay? So these indigos, they kind of came into collective consciousness since the 1980s and are blessed to be the parents of an entirely new wave of beings, and they're known as the crystal children, okay? So the crystals are very, very magnetic. They're peaceful, they're kind, they're musical, they're artistic, they love nature, animals, crystals, earth, all of those beautiful earthy things. And they were born from about 2004 till about 2008, were a mixture of crystals and indigos, okay? So you got 1995 to about 2015, that whole era there, crystal children's and scouts and stuff like that. So 2004 to 2008, you got indigo and crystal. It was a combination, the hybrid generation. Their auras had different colors and a mixture of different things. All children from 2009 to 2012 were born with fully developed crystal auras and fully developed crystallized physical bodies, okay? So they don't have an indigo aura. They're completely crystal because it's clear. And they're very, very conscious of who they are and who they spend their time with and who gets to be around that energy that they have and why they're there. They like to question things, okay? Crystal children, they're very naturally conscious about what they like and what they don't like, what's good for them, what's not good for them. If they are connected, that includes nutritionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, all of those things. And they don't make compromises to risk any of those things, okay? From a very early age, they know what they need right away. And they would rather keep away from the outside drama and toxicity and just be themselves, okay? So a lot of them are very withdrawn, okay? We see that a lot in our younger generations. They do not voluntarily surround themselves with limiting energies. They don't want to be manipulated. or degenerated, okay? That's just the way they are. They're beautifully just perfect detectors for that stuff. It's also a very lonesome place to be in, okay? So that's why we are here to support them and to understand, to bring all of the micro dynamics in their lives together in a macro dynamic world, so that all of the entities in their world can flow together and understand these different pieces and parts of them, so that they are not alienated, so they're not isolated, okay, so that there is an understanding and a support system. Now, nevertheless, if parents decide they want to do something other than what a crystal child wants, there might be some issues involved, some behavior, some problems, some chaotic conditions that will arise. There's a very strong, deep desire within a crystal child that anything that might make them unbalanced is going to make them break down. So there has to be a trust and an understanding between the parent and the child. And it's very important to understand what that looks like for your child. And it's going to be different from every single one of them. I start every session with pairing with my kiddo. And it's usually in a client-based setting. Every situation is based on making sure that I understand what they like and how I can support them. How can I get what I want from them by in an approach that looks like I still support what they want, okay? And that's very tricky, and it takes some practice, but they almost don't know what just happened to them. You get what you want, they get what they want, and as long as there's an understanding, you're able to see it that way, and so are they. That's the key here, is understanding. So what can you use with the understanding that you have? And that's what we're going to look at as we move forward in this series, okay? So, crystal children, they have everything that they need. They're pure fountains of love and cosmic energy, and they have an understanding and awareness and high vibration, and they can also mirror other people and their energies in a way that's very nurturing and is very accepting. They're very loving in that way. And they're very much able to recharge themselves. You give them a little bit of space, a little bit of what they need. Water. Water is so beautifully healing for a crystal child, the starseed child. Beautifully healing. It rejuvenates the soul. It rejuvenates the chakras, their energy. Everything lightens up. That is a beautiful healing property, okay? Even if it's just been a rough day, all right? Remember that, because it can definitely help you out and support some tough days. Definitely trust me there. It's really an important understanding to have. It's an important understanding that is not understood right now to a lot of people, to society, as far as what the crystal children and the starseeds missions are, how important it is to support them and why they're here. The next phase in humanity is honoring all of the natural world, the protection of the earth and the gentler ways of being in a human way, and illuminating the shift of humanity. That is what we are here to support, okay? They follow their hearts in all manners. They have this notion that they need to put this into practice. And so if they're not living in a way day to day that provides a quality of life that they are fulfilling an act of practicing their mission, you're going to have a world of trouble, okay? And you're going to continue to face these barriers and until they are able to set their heart in the right place and have an understanding to make that world a better place, so that you understand that that's what they want to do and you understand how to support them in doing that. Because that sounds like a really big deal. Like, how am I supposed to help you save the world, right? Well, it's not about that. It's about, how can I help you be you? Because that's all they need. That's all the world needs, is for them to be them. That's your job. That's it. That's it. Now we've got the rainbows, okay? The rainbows is the next generation of very special children that have helped humanity evolve. They are very different from indigo and crystal children, okay? They have more interesting characteristics. They have a lot of colors in their auras, thus a rainbow. And they are born basically in year 2000 and up, okay? I know that there's ranges that are going over each other, but there's a reason for that. And as the name applies, the rainbow children, they come with additional spectrums of color, okay? And they have a higher level of dimension, dimension of consciousness and collective consciousness, okay? So that there's just a little bit more going on as far as their understanding of where they're at in the place of planetary dimension and what's possible, okay? They like to talk about time travel. They like to talk about all of this technologically just higher advanced level of stuff, okay? Now, as many of you might have experienced, rainbow children, they are full of joy and love and harmony. They love to be the ones that make sure everybody's okay and give kisses, and that's when they're balanced and they're not having a behavior, they're not having a bad day, okay? They are very much born to smile and have a good time and help people just feel full in their hearts and in their lives, okay? They are the definition of forgiveness. That's what they are here to do, is to help you learn how to forgive. They're just such loving beings. It's ridiculous. I love these kiddos so much for just how unconditionally loving their soul is, naturally, just naturally. Okay, they generally recover from a very negative emotion pretty quickly, and it's really important that they hold that emotional mastery and still gain in that area, because they do have the ability to read other people's feelings. It's a gift that they have. It's a gift that's revealed as they get older, but if it's suppressed, then it's not going to enable that gift to help others as an empath later in life, which is a very important part of their mission. Most of them are very much psychic, and they have very strong wills and strong personalities, okay? They want to make a difference. They want to apply those gifts, and they are known to be healers and to be very quick manifestors. So you want to make sure they understand how to manifest in a very positive way. Explaining the law of attraction is not something that you can talk about too early. It takes little tiny examples to show a child what that actually can bring about. And once it's established, once that seed's planted and it actually manifested for the first time, that's done. That's all that they need. All right. Now, I'm going to cover a few brief examples of characteristics, and then I'm going to cover them in depth with an assessment in the next video. So, a few characteristics. I'm going to just kind of read off a few that I have here. Very deeply affectionate. They love hugs. They're very sincere. They start talking in later toddler years, some of them. They are highly psychic. They are vibrational beings. They enjoy music and uplifting energy, okay, vibrations, and anything that feels good and that's uplifting, especially a person that is like that. They can carry labels, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Most of them are Asperger's, autism, sensory processing, some of those. They're peaceful, they are loving, they love animals, they want to protect the planet, they want to end world hunger and fix global warming, okay? They're highly sensitive emotionally and environmentally. Sometimes they don't really like loud noises or chaotic surroundings. Smells, textures can be that's one of the biggest issues. It's textures and smells, okay? And it took years for my kids to be able to eat some normal stuff. I mean, we're talking eggs, ice cream, and what? So these are all things that it's so good to understand and know, because then it's like, oh, what do I do about that? I'm going to help you figure out how to do that. I have the answer. So I've also got resources. I don't have all the answers, but I have resources to help you find the answers. And if there's something that I haven't covered that you want to know, I will find the answer for you, so do not hesitate to ask me. Now, allergies, food intolerances, guys, these are really big. Skin issues, eczema, overactive yeast can be an issue. I've seen kids with, the rings around their mouths, they're licking, that's usually from dietary nutritional types of imbalances. A lot of them, they don't like fast food or Coca-Colas, and they don't like all of that. They like sugar and sweets and lots of stuff, but some of them, there's some picky things that they just don't like. Picky eaters, that's a big one. At least for a very early period of time, the early years can be very, very difficult when it comes to getting nutritional value. There's a lot of things that can help you with that, because that was my biggest concern with my kids, was getting that nutrition in their bodies. Now, they also are very much empathic. They can connect to people around them. Sometimes they can withdraw from people they don't feel comfortable with, and they can feel very, very connected and very much they draw to older people, okay, or other empaths or animals in the room, nature. Those are very, very interesting connections. I've also seen my kiddos connect with energies and spirits that I cannot see. And they have little conversations, usually earlier in life. But now that they're a little bit older, I don't hear much about that. I do hear about things in peripherals and stuff like that as far as energies and spirits. But as far as talking and all of that, my youngest, my 4-year-old does. But my others, it has been many, many years. But you will see that they are very connected and close with their angels and ancestors. They possibly have past life memories, dreams. Those are all very possible. Okay, they can be fearless sometimes. Sometimes they just want to do everything. Boundless ideas of these vast healing potential and healing ideas. And I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch these kids express their desire for nothing but healing others. That is a beautiful gift in its own to have. Okay. They also, one of the biggest ones is they definitely feel connection to earth, to rocks, to stones, to the planet. That is going to be a very, very healing property for their life, to be able to go and ground. My youngest goes to the river and puts his feet in the water on an everyday basis as often as he can. Can't in the wintertime, but in the summer, every day. And his energy and light was just so bright because he could get that connection, okay? And we do other things now, but that was a really big thing for him. And he knew every day when it was time, when we were going, where the turn was, how to get there, all of it. He knew. And I think the biggest difficulty that I've seen with my children is the difficulty fitting in. It's having trouble finding those social cues, and sometimes there can be a sense of paranoia there a little bit because there is a misunderstanding and misinterpretation of the perceptions, okay, and where people are coming from with things. They don't fit into normal social groups, and they might have 1 or 2 friends or none at all. My boys, God, they were twins. That was all they had. And that might have been actually part of the issue, but my youngest right now is having that. But I did know that girls were very, very much gravitated to my boys, and older women and men that, were just very much early childhood education, and all of those really gravitated to them because they just had a way and an understanding that they picked up on immediately. Really interesting, and they loved babies. They just love babies, and I had to keep a distance a little bit. They love animals too, but I did find out that, there are some issues with animals when it comes to, they love them so much it can become kind of an issue sometimes, and that will definitely be a video that we will cover so that you can we can look into that and see what kind of things come with that. Now, social issues, they can feel a little bit left out, like they don't really belong, like the black sheep of the family. That might even have been more you guys, the parents of these kiddos. And now you're providing a sense of comfort level for them because you knew how it felt when you were growing up. So I see that constructing a little bit more differently in the newer generations here. But they do have a hard time understanding social norms and conveying to those, traditional ways that they just do not understand or see a value in. Okay, that's a big issue that you're going to have to explain and guide in the most empowering yet society acceptable way so that there's a balance there. They understand truth, but they know how it works. Until the works is truth, they got to know both. Okay, their mission is to make it happen. We're all in that mission. But for now, they have to understand both sides. Truth is all they need to know. Even if it seems like it's a lot, that's what they need. Now, they also have a bit of an issue with authority in society if, like I mentioned earlier, if the authority is producing something that is questionable with truth, with humanity, with higher vibrations, all of those things. And they are not afraid to express it, okay? Very artistic, very creative, and they very much pick up on other people's feelings and like to contort to what they need to make their world better. Okay, and that is, like, again, that's a beautiful gift to have. So you're very blessed to have this being, and that was really what I had to sit down and realize. Of course, I felt blessed for having my children, but when I really understood what I was dealing with, why I was dealing with it, and what it meant, a light bulb went off in my head, and it was my aha moment, and I knew exactly what to do, and everything changed since then. And they have been happy, and I've been happy, and everybody has been in a very empowered position since then. And after years of practicing that and fine-tuning that, I'm now here. I feel comfortable enough to come to you with this information. Now, what I want to talk about next is society's labels and diagnosed disorders. And I do apologize, guys. More may have gotten on my shirt just then. I never know. Okay. So sensory processing disorder, autism, Asperger's, ADHD, ADD, learning disabilities, need for occupational therapy, behavior therapy, delays in cognitive, speech, motor skills, socially awkward, gifted, psychic, clairvoyant, medium. Those are all labels in society right now for Starseed children. And with every one of those labels, guess what? There's a symptom that is associated with it. And usually there's a medication to go along with that as well. That's also going to be a big discussion that we're going to have about medication. What is serving for their energy and what is not? Because there are plenty out there of alternatives out there besides pharmaceutical medication, okay? And I know that is a very scary topic for a lot of people because it does provide quality of life for a lot, and it did for me. It did for me for many years until I realized what was happening and that I was actually suppressing. I did it. I cut the ties right before, you know, they hit teenage years so that I did not have to redo teenage years because they weren't there. And I'm so happy that I did. I'm so happy, and they are more connected than I could ever have imagined. So, okay, guys, some of the common delays that we see right now. Unbalanced starseeds can have many behaviors. There are imbalances mentally, physically, spiritually, and they have a desire for unhealthy foods and unhealthy habits. Okay, those are unbalanced starseeds. Now, there are many ways, okay, that we can help turn those things around, but there's so many things that fall under those categories too, but those are the main categories, okay? And because of their closeness with spiritual realms, because they are so intuitive, a lot of starseeds have delayed speech, delayed writing, sometimes until 3 or 4 years old. And they really begin connecting to the outside world at that point because they've developed and built a secure and safe inner core that will allow them now to kind of reach out, okay? They've observed for a long time, and don't you think they didn't observe? They know a lot. The expressive is very limited compared to the receptive. They are receiving everything, like almost in a way that is kind of, it's genius. It really is how much they can absorb. But you're not going to get all of that out of there. And they only do it when they want to, if you haven't noticed already. Now, this whole thing kind of freaks parents out a little bit because of this connection with something that they can't see, that they can't quite understand. But understand that telepathy is a very, very common communication for starseeds, and this is why they connect with animals, nature, sometimes things you can't see, like I mentioned earlier. Have you ever looked at your dog and you were like, yeah, they need water? The dog's looking at you, you know, or your animal, your cat. You're looking at the dog, and they're looking at you, and there's this unspoken thing, you know, where you know what they're wanting, you know what they need. It's very, very similar for these kids. They know. It's a knowing, and there's all kinds of different types of intuition, and I'm going to have a video about that too. All the different types of intuition, how they can, to help them connect into that, and how they use it, okay? Now, rather than panicking, let's just understand that by nurturing, okay, a lot of parents, we want to choose to nurture the needs and offer creative, expanded forms of connection. Physical touch, guys, becomes like a crucial part and most beneficial aspect of raising starseeds. It can be used in cuddling and playing and just physical sports, songs, physical language. All of these things become very meaningful ways of communication. Singing, rocking, touch, telepathy, those are all very chosen types of communication for starseeds as well. and for parents, okay? A lot of parents who are already connected, that's the way that they prefer to use their communication, because that's what provides the most comfort for their child and for them. It's very balancing, it's wholesome, it creates that bond, it creates an understanding. You feel good at the end of the day because you got it, that kind of stuff. Now, their delays can often be seen as these labels, as autism, as other labels that are really widely used right now. There's a difference. There's a difference between an enlightened genetic coding, okay, an evolved way of thinking, an evolved being, than a child with true disabilities that would eliminate a cognitive and logical understanding, okay? It's a really delicate way to, I'm trying to put this here. There are multiple different symptoms and diagnosis involved with this demographic that I'm talking about, okay? We've got autism right now, unfortunately, is umbrellaing, it's not even a word. It's an umbrella for a lot of different spectrum kiddos right now. A lot of them on the higher functioning end have the characteristics of the starseeds. Okay, a lot of them, even the ones in the middle there. The ones on the very, very, very low functioning, some of them also do. They can be in that category because they don't speak. Okay, now keep going down the spectrum to absolutely severe. Okay, there's no physical movement, or there is no brain firing happening. Okay, that can also be labeled as autism. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about children who are very much functioning on a very high spiritual, mental, and physical level, and you are seeing an imbalance in behaviors and certain things, certain areas, because they are not connected in that way, okay? So I am here to help me get a very clear understanding on what the difference is. And throughout my video series, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And it's going to include my personal videos of my family and situations when I deal with them. And I'm going to give a very clear, this is how you can handle it, but here's the best way to handle it, okay? Because in truth, a lot of families are dealing it in one particular way, like I did. I was the yeller mom. But there's a very empowering way to handle things, and I'm going to provide what both looks like. It'll be entertaining, if anything. Now, I really want you to understand that I have so much pride and pleasure in providing support for you and your family. It means the world to me. It's beyond measurable on the joy it gives me to be able to fulfill my mission in this way, okay? The next video, we're going to be covering the characteristics most commonly found in the starseed children, and we're going to establish if you are raising one, okay? We're also going to have an assessment that's going to help look at that. I am going to have a lot of clips at the end of the video that I want to, as a checklist, they just kind of bullet what we've gone through in the video to give you a visual reminder of what we've talked about. I thank you so much for taking the time to have shared this experience with me and to exchange energy, and I really hope that I can provide you support and an unmeasurable amount of empowerment throughout this journey. Until next time, guys.